humans decide to pitch horse against horse, rider against rider in a competitive sport? Most sources, and I guess these are sort of things handed down, no 100% audit confirmation of this, but horse racing apparently has its origins in the prehistoric nomadic tribesmen of Central Asia, who first domesticated horses around 4500 BC. Though the first formal races probably took place in ancient Greece, but horse racing as a pro sport in the UK can be traced back to the 12th century after the English knights returned from the Crusades with swift Arab steeds. And from there, of course, it spread to Britain's various colonies, including here in Hong Kong, where the Brits did rule us for the better part of 160 years. You know, Winfried, I feel very nervous actually reciting history like that in front of you, because you would know better than me. Is that sort of broadly kind of sort of there?
I think I'm a polite guest.
Nicht. Don't cough. No.
No. It's pretty true. It's I think if you look really at the history of horse racing, it's fascinating, and I think the camaraderie between horse and riders, I think, and then you have the famous story when the name of the most classic race was decided as the English Derby, where there was a toss of a coin and Lord Derby won. So it's.
What is the you know, there every year, if I'm not wrong, consistently we have the annual sale. I mean, there's the people jet in from all over the world, and there are all kinds of. I'm going to mix my terms up. I know colts, geldings, fillies, right? Correct?
Very few fillies, because I think we are much more colt and geldings oriented. Because we have no breeding, so I think therefore breeding value doesn't count here in Hong Kong. So we have horses from all over the world coming. So we have around every year we import around 420 horses, around 70% coming from Australia and New Zealand. Then we have around 20%, 25% coming from Europe, and the rest 5% especially from US.
And as a global industry, as a, you know, I guess the animal rights activists would say good on you for not breeding here and creating, you know, more four-legged creatures than maybe the world needs. Has Hong Kong really arrived on the map years ago? Remember with Silent Witness, Archie De Silva's wonderful horse, which won like 17 races in a row?
Yeah, I think, and then he was beaten by a nose in his 18th attempt. I think horse racing in Hong Kong was very much before 10 years ago a gaming facility, technology, world-known organization. But we have really improved the quality of horses. And Silent Witness is a symbol, which is, I think, definitely was the best sprinter in the world. He was the most famous horse in Hong Kong. Time magazine horse or respectively person of the year. But we have now here in Hong Kong probably 4 of the top 20 horses trained in Hong Kong, which I think is, with a limited horse population of 1,200 horses, is a terrific achievement.
Yeah, we should put it in perspective, by the way. You know, people around the world have heard of the Kentucky Derby, of course, the Belmont Stakes, but the reality is the kind of wagering that goes on here in Hong Kong, it's like Jupiter and the moon, isn't it? The kind of pool that we're talking about.
So we have the highest pool size in the world, biggest pool in the world. If you look at 78 race meetings, we have a turnover around 67, 68 billion Hong Kong. So around 8.5 billion. So every race meeting generates around, in US, 120 million US dollars. If you compare this with North America, probably they need 1 week in all racetracks to generate what we have in one Happy Valley night or one Sha Tin race meeting.
You know, the degree to which the Jockey Club is part and parcel of Hong Kong. I mean, you know, the old saying, however it goes, and I'm mangling this too, but the Jockey Club is Hong Kong. It defines Hong Kong. I mean, you know, you participate in social welfare, you know, I don't need to recite the laundry list. Again, recently, I believe the legislature approved a few additional race days. Is that correct? 5 and another 20 additional simulcasts as well. Is this a tacit admission that these are tough times and that the pools that are created at each race are falling, and you know, we're dependent on you in many ways for the services in our economy?
I think 2 things. First of all, we 3 years ago did a reform of the of the taxation in relation to gaming, and we moved to a gross profit tax. Having said this, we have the highest gross profit tax in the world. Normally in Great Britain, for example, you pay 15% gross profit tax. We pay 72.5%. With this, in a way, we reduced the takeout rate, and especially we wanted to capture the illegal market, because we know there was a significant illegal market on our racing. So we introduced a rebate system. If you bet more than 10,000 Hong Kong dollars, per bet on win plays on Quinellas you would get if you lose 10% back. We have hit the illegal market significantly. Our turnover has rebounded from 60 billion to 68 billion. Having said this, we have a margin decrease. And when we proposed this, we needed some more additional race meetings in order to recover practically what we gave back to the customer. So that has been adhered to. And this gives us now a basis, really, in a way, to really go further into employment.
This sport is, I didn't realize the tax was that high. I mean, it's taxed up the yazoo then, isn't it?
Yeah, I think...
Does that need to come down? I mean, if that comes down, will that create better odds for the punters, and will that create, drum up more interest?
This is what I think is one of the balances, because I think we have a major problem in a competitive environment, especially looks at the internet. Even in our football betting operation, where we are now the biggest football betting operator in the world, where we pay 50% tax. In the end, if the tax is too high, our competitiveness in relation to competitors will become a real issue. So it has to come down in the long run. But we know that we have an obligation to contribute to Hong Kong. So therefore, we see a balance how we to struck it.
Yeah, I mean, money's money. Higher taxes create more social services and more of a cash kitty for the government. So I guess it's kind of a Hobson's choice in many ways.